that was assigned for us tonight by the good spirits. And you know, it's about mutual help. It's based on a story by Jesus. But before we go there, we want to ask ourselves, why do we do what we do, right? Why are we here? Why? What is the point? So, why do we study these books? Why didn't Chico Xavier simply open himself to be a healing medium? Because he was. But, ostensibly, come and heal people, heal. Be the healing medium. Emmanuel said, stop these spirit materialization meetings that you're doing. And the last time he said it was, if you go, you can go by yourself. I will wait here and wait for you. And then Chico didn't go. And he stopped coming to materialization meetings or meetings where we had physical manifestations. Serious ones. But Emmanuel said, now we want to channel everything to the true healing. Caesar's ridding ourselves of ignorance. The Ties of Ignorance books. But are we reading? Are we studying? Tonight, the Spirit Mentors have prepared a quiz. But there is no reward at the end. There is no points. But there is a quiz just to tease us. And then Mentor Joseph selected 3 paragraphs from 3 different books to show to us how knowledge can be life-changing. Of course, knowing is not half of the battle. No, it's not. But knowing can be half of the battle if I continue the route and apply it. Just as a teaser, okay? There's no right or wrong. I have copies here if you want. But this is just a part of the course that we will offer next year on Saturday here at the SSVA and Sunday in Washington. As you can see, exercises like this are part of the program, the Course on Spiritism. We study and then we do exercises of all different kinds. Just as a teaser, let's see what we feel about it. Spirits are the intelligent beings of creation. True or false? True or false?
True.
If they are not, who is then, right? Mm-hmm.
Not all of them.
Yeah, the thing is this. This is in reference to the teaching when God created the material principle and the spiritual principle. The spiritual principle is the intelligent one that uses matter to evolve. Okay? Spirits are created wise and experienced.
False.
False.
Oh, yeah. Good job. We are created simple and ignorant. Soul is an incarnate spirit. That's true. This is a technical definition of Spiritism. Spiritism is a science. Kardec stated it's a science, and he denominated soul, technically speaking, as an incarnate spirit. That's why you see in the literature, when the spirit is discarnated, we call spirit. It's a technicality. That's all it is. Like any science, terminology matters. Soul is the spirit that is incarnated. So right now, we are souls. It's not like I have a soul. No, no, no. I am a soul. I don't have a soul. I am the soul. I have a body, but not a soul, because I am the incarnated spirit, right? And it changes when I hurt my body. I bump. I hurt myself. No, no, no. We hurt the physical body. So we can even teach our children. Oh, I hurt my leg. Right on. Yeah, so talk to your leg. I'm so sorry that I was a little lousy and I didn't watch out. Sorry, leg, because this leg's not me. So you see how it changes even the way I feel about myself? Only incarnate spirits have perispirit or spiritual body.
Oh.
Because the discarnates do too, right? That's the body that stays with us. Each spirit is an individual being.
True.
Death occurs when the spirit who animates the body simply leaves the body.
False.
It's impossible. Death, by definition, happens when the physical body cannot function anymore. And then we are expelled from it. So, if you're sleeping, you say, I don't want to go back to the body, you have to. There's no choice. Right? So think about it. Why people, they make decisions that are crazy and quit life physically. Because that's the only way to get out of it. But we shouldn't. I'm not going to give terms, right? Because we're cautious about something here. There is a fluidic link connecting the physical and the spiritual bodies.
True.
Mm-hmm. At the moment of physical death, there will be an easy separation between body and perispirit when there is a strong cohesion between body and perispirit. False. In the book Heaven and Hell, second part, chapter 1, Kardec explains, if you want to fly easily after the death of the body, easily, without attachments, disturbance, craziness, we need to have a weak connection between the spiritual body and the physical. So the more we are attached to things in life, the harder it will be. No, but this is mine. And that's exactly how the spirits feel. We vibrate so densely that it's hard to disconnect and to detach. One thing is the death of the physical body, another is the discarnation, the detachment from the physical to the spiritual through the release of the spiritual body. So, if we want a good death, good in the sense not physical, spiritual, and easy transition, we need to cultivate a sublimated life. All spirits are destined to progress. Even the criminals.
Yeah.
We need to remind them. Because they probably don't know. And that's a reality. Many children are raised listening from their parents. They hear, you're nothing, you're nobody. you're never going to amount to anything. They learn that they don't amount to anything. Being criminals is just second nature. Somebody was pushing them to criminality, to drug addiction, to sex addiction, to worthlessness. Because nobody said, remember, you're here to help. You were born to help. You are loved. Every day, every night we should. I was talking to Rejane, since she's a teacher, we're talking about education nowadays. There is a physiological component that people are not aware of. Okay? When we feel threatened, insecure, afraid, what do we turn on? The sympathetic nervous system. The alert. And that's why you see many kids overreacting. They don't know what to do with their fear, with their insecurity. They start acting out, we say. And it can be a little crazy or super crazy. What button do we push to change it? By entering a battle with them, we just push harder. And that's why they go from acting out to the escalation of tantrums and aggressiveness. So what do we need to do? Physiologically speaking, we need to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the relaxation one. How do you do it? As parents, and I'll do this with Luciana because she's a close friend, so I can do it, right, Luciana? Luciana is acting out as a child. I say, come here, Luciana, it's okay, no problem. Remember, everything is fine. How many parents do this? Not many. We enter the battle. You're gonna do this? Okay, okay. Then you're gonna see. And then battle. The sympathetic system is on, and mine is on too. And then it doesn't turn that off. How do you turn that off? Endorphins. Oh, Luciana, come on. It's okay. Remember, you're loved. I love you. That's okay. I know it's hard, but that's okay. It seems like magic. But who does this nowadays? Who hugs their kids nowadays? Who tells their kids nowadays that they are loved every day? Good. We can tell. Oh, but I didn't learn affection. Well, we better learn it. Because if they don't learn how to be consoled and turn on the parasympathetic, they will later suffer, if they are not already suffering, from anxiety, panic attacks, depression. Because when our sympathetic is constantly on, we call it chronic stress. Chronic stress can lead to depression, anxiety, pathologies of the mind, generated by a neurochemistry that is altered. Physical. In our schools, we cannot hug, we cannot touch, we understand, because they are sick minds. We need to protect the children. But what do we do? Not necessarily need to touch. The tone of voice, the loving Jesus as our guiding model shows to us, the loving approach by the way we look at the child, and I believe in the good in that child. The tone of voice, And with the teachings that we learn from Spiritism, we can send loving thoughts that can envelop and open doors for good spirits to come. They can hug, right? They do the hug for us. So, all this knowledge Spiritism brings to us can be used, and we're not aware of. That's why we need to read more. I know we listen to talks, we watch hopefully, but it's not enough. We need to do it on our own, even if it's one sentence a day. One sentence a day, and you can do it in the cell phone. Before you go to sleep, read. Don't need a whole chapter. One sentence. From any of these books, meditate on it, go to sleep. Meditating, reflecting on it. Just to give us an example about how these books are powerful in our lives. Mentor Joseph selected three excerpts. Short, one is a story, and the other two are conceptual excerpts. The first one is from the book In the Realms of Mediumship by André Luiz. And Peter Joseph selected this one because it's very common. Talks about a mental battle that happens in people's homes. Okay. This is chapter 20 of the book In the Realms of Mediumship. So this is the home of a woman. I won't say the names because they just confuse us so much, these weird names. I respect André Luiz, but we're just saying. The names don't matter, but the case matters. So there is a couple. They are married, they have children. The woman is used to prayers. They pray at home. But the man is having an affair. She doesn't know, but she feels something. André Luiz brings to us, from another angle, the spiritual angle, an explanation that is striking. So striking that you may doubt it's true. But he explains to us what's happening in the invisible. He says, the man is at work. The woman, the wife, is at home. Suddenly, and I'll read the description, okay? Suddenly, the wife sits on her bed and starts thinking, oh, he doesn't like praying anymore. Something's off. And then it shows that invisible darts of anguish are reaching the mind of the wife. She feels more anguished. What is it? The woman who is the affair of the husband is thinking of her. Like, she really wants to steal the husband from that. And the spouse, the wife, feels that anguish. And André Luiz explains that she feels it because there is actually the sending of the mental darts. So she's not crazy. And, in fact, she felt an indefinable discomfort, says André Luiz. The wife did not see the strange and undesirable visitor, but the wife sensed, these are André Luiz's words, the presence of the woman as an uncontrollable mental tribulation. Suddenly, she started saying to herself, I remember her now. I know her. She is a perverse woman, the cause of the disturbance in our home. Jovino has changed. He's abandoning us little by little. He even appears to detest prayer. What a horrible being. She is an enemy that works herself into our existence like a reptile. If I could, I would crush her under my feet. But today, my religious faith protects my heart from violence. While the wife's thoughts were filled with animosity, the image projected at a distance started coming closer and intensifying as if she were materialized in the atmosphere, causing the distraught wife greater discomfort. The woman that dominated the husband was embodied before our eyes. And both women, now declared enemies, started a mental battle of sad thoughts, harsh words, and reciprocal accusations. Parenthesis. Both are incarnated. So André Luiz is explaining much more in the chapter. This is just an excerpt about the power of our thoughts and feelings. How just 1 minute of reflection in that direction opens a door for a communication that can be dangerous. There are people in this world that have nothing else to do but to create a mess. If we engage, and it can be a relative, it can be a person from work. If we engage in thoughts of animosity, according to the teachings of Spiritism, we are in true mental battle. It's not worthwhile. What we say, I was just thinking, André Luiz saying, no, you are not. You're inactive. When we say, but I was just thinking, no. He's saying that we're actually taking action to the point that we approximate ourselves perispirit to perispirit from those that we are battling mentally speaking. Could be a boss, could be an employee, could be a relative, could be a neighbor, could be anybody. But André Luiz is showing to us that we can make a choice. Don't go there, because if you do, true battles, we won't be happy. One excerpt from one book gives us new instruments for our lives. Any question on this before I move to the next two? Because the next two are soothing, easy. This is just a hard one. Yes, John.
Does the effort you put into that particular thought make a big difference?
Never thought about it.
I mean, you know, somebody that really concentrates on that dart, like they blow their dart up, this really powerful concentration versus somebody that just passingly thinks about it.
But you see how she did? She sat down and she just said, oh, now I know who she is. She is that one. She didn't spend a million minutes
from birth.
It wasn't, and I'll say this, John, because it's not about the duration.
Okay.
It's about the password. You do not connect. To connect, for example, to log in any account, into any account, you don't need to stay there typing in the password for 10 minutes. If you put the right password, you're in.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. It's not about the duration. I spent an hour thinking, or a minute. If you connect, my friend, at that level, you're in the battle. To get out is hard. It's like logging into your email. You put the password, you're in. Whatever people wrote, potentially, you're exposed to. You're one step from reading and feeling or sending messages. So it's not about duration. Thank you for pointing that out. It's about the right password. So that's why André Luiz, in another book, he says, at each thought and feeling, we have a choice of connecting to constructive mental currents or destructive. That's it. No, but that person. You want to go there? Because that is destructive. But focus on the good. That's why when we become wiser, we speak less. But not speaking less with the mouth, in our thoughts. In the sense of, we don't engage, we keep focusing. That's our training. Mr. Joseph says, Vanessa, don't waste your time. Doesn't matter. Focus on the good. If it's not here, focus elsewhere. Because then I'll be entrapped. Oh, that person is not doing right. Between them and God, as Mother Teresa said. Is there anything I can help? No, okay. So that's why Jesus focused on those who are willing to be helped. Because if people don't want to be helped, he said, the day you do, I'll be here. Meanwhile, let me help those who want to be helped. And that's us. Family members. Don't want to be helped? Okay, be happy. Drinking, using drugs, having sex, whatever you want. That's your problem, not mine. Literally, I pray for you, but I'm not going to stop my progress because you want to stagnate. And that's not selfishness. Self-love. There are people who are stagnating their lives in the name of love, and that's not love. Toxic relationships. André Luiz says symbiosis that degenerates into vampirism, morbid symbiosis. Oh, but I love this person so much. You want a constructive or destructive? I remember a mother. She's now discarnated. She used to work as a teacher, while the father and the son, who was a teenager, were home using drugs. And she said, I have no choice but to sustain their addictions, or they are going to rob and steal, and then it's going to be worse. What do you think? I don't know. It's your call. I'm not going to rule. It's your call. One day, one thing we said, addictions, it's like gambling. You never know tomorrow. So we prepared for the funeral, and that's exactly what happened. One day we received a call. The son at 21 died of an overdose. It was bittersweet for her, because she said, at least he's no longer going to do it. That's what she thought. Because we don't stop in the afterlife. It's even worse. You could see at the funeral, the cadaver was so vivid that you could almost see that he was alive, but the physical body was dead. But you could see the attachment was so close, because it's considered suicide. Later, she discarnated years after. We cannot judge, because there is history, there is a context. But for us to incur into a crime because I love the criminal and I want to protect the criminal, it's still a crime. I cannot judge. We cannot judge. But we need to think what I do before God. There is one law that is the same for all. Like gravity, the same. So that's why Mentor Joseph, kindly to bring ourselves to another level of understanding, he said, if you go to the other extreme of the solution of all problems, we just go to the book Evolution into Worlds, chapter 1, part 2, when he talks about nourishment of the spirit, and he says, André Luiz, that the nourishment of the mind through the magnetic projections exchanged between those who love each other is much more important than the nutritionist of the world can imagine. Thus, the reason why every individual needs to love and receive love to maintain the overall balance. And that's why we see in the world the chaos that we see, because we are confiscating love. Parents who think that it's too much to love and to hug, and they minimize the feeding of the soul. And we see the consequences in the behavior. I have a think about this. It says here, the importance of exchanging.
So that is, love nourishes the mind, is obviously much more important than the nourishment to your physical body. It's evidence when you see these people that have been together for 40, 50 years, and one of the spouses dies, and then the other spouse within days, weeks, or months passes away.
several diseases happen because people confiscate love. Love is the divine plasma of God, says André Luiz in chapter 1. And he says, we're co-creators. We need to allow the flow of love to go through us towards others. But it's our decision. And what we do? We say, no, I'm not going to give love. I'm going to love you, but not you. I'm going to give you one molecule. So we're still so greedy that we, like a miser, there is the miser of love. Worse than the miser of money is the miser of love. They know that you're going to love to hear, I love you. What is the excuse? You know I do. No, I don't. I know God loves us. How many parents, and why does Mentor Joseph teach about parenting? Because physiologically, spiritually, physically, children depend on the dynamic flow of the energy of the parents. And if I am a miser of love before my child, I will see the children acting out, and that's why nowadays, of course, they have the contact between parents and children have been diminished. Today, I was at somebody's school, and one of the parents told me, oh, in this classroom, they've known each other since they were in the infant care. Really? Infant care, toddlerhood, the same school. Oh, it's great because now they are family, right? Okay. But who was assigned to love those children? I see the infant care. Yes, they're good professionals. Take a baby like I saw. But they don't talk. If we were doing the same, we're like, oh, you're so cute. I know you're doing great. You're adorable. Does it matter? Do they have to love? That's not in the job description. Something's missing. And of course, ADHD to the roof. Autism to the roof. Anxiety in this millennial generation. Depression, of course. Where's love? The expression of love has diminished. And of course, not feeling it, we lack. Obesity goes up. Because I have to compensate for the lack of what I feel. And then I eat to comfort because I don't feel. So the good spirits are telling us, you wanna nourish that soul? Love, beginning with ourselves. You know those days when you start feeling anguish, fear, insecurity because life is impermanent? The good spirits and Mentor Joseph reinforces that, Vanessa. Choose your thought. You can choose your feeling. Okay, I prefer not to feel that anguish. I stop identify and I say, you know what, I'm not going to waste my time. Somebody sending mental darts, because sometimes it happens. And we start feeling that unsettling feeling. I have a choice. Allow the connection to take place or change the connection. No. I'm going to do something to change it. Anything that is good. Send a good message to somebody. Do the good. Read a good message. Singing and saying, I can choose what I feel. I can choose what I think. I can choose it. I don't need to react. And then I start changing the frequency in which I connect with certain connections. One day will no longer be tempted to go into that line of thought or feeling. And invest in love. That's why Chico Xavier, every day, he would go to sleep praying for 10,000 people. Usually we go to sleep and our minds are like, oh, thinking about tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I have to wake up so early. Oh, that meeting. Oh, that trip. Choose. Do the good. God, I'm gonna pray for my boss. I'm gonna pray for my colleagues. I'm gonna pray for the teachers of my children. And then you start praying. I pray that they sleep well and they wake up so happy and feeling joyful. Simple. I pray that my colleagues are visited by beautiful fairies that, you know, sprinkle pixie dust and they feel magically good. Everybody goes to work or don't go to work, go to Hawaii. And I'll be by myself. No, but I'm joking. You can, like Chico Xavier, spend and sleep praying for the good of all. That's charity. How often do we do it? I don't know. Praying for family members, for the neighbors, for somebody whom you saw in the street and you don't know the person. Oh, I pray that that homeless finds a helping hand this night, cold night. The good spirits are going to use that energy to actually benefit people. You see, there's so much love in us that we're not using. We are love, children of love. When we say children of God, children of love. Love is within us. When people say, but I'm not good at love. That's what you think. God thinks otherwise, because you're a child of God. Love is not only in the air, it's in you. So let it flow. Let it flow. And they say it's going to solve 10 million problems, including health. And to see how powerful it is, a third information that goes hand in hand with it. And since we're approaching December, which is Christmas season, we start listening to Christmas songs and we're like, oh my gosh, some people are like, I don't like it. Love it. And we'll tell you why. Listen to this. Leon Denis, in a book named Spiritism in the Arts. It's already in English. He says, harmonious sound vibrations introduces balance and rhythm in all things. The law of harmonious vibrations influences also physical health due to its action towards the human fluids. sorry. Yeah, I cut short the paragraph. There is so much more he wants to say in that chapter. But just for our reference, he's talking about harmonious sounds. Think about your first instrument, the vocal cords. We have a guitar here. Dun, 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 the vocal cords. If we play it harmoniously, the whole body feels. And you can make a test. When you say something, just say, put your hand in your chest. We're in the center, nobody's watching, the camera's just towards this way. And you say, ah, ah, be. You feel it? You feel here? So everything we say vibrates in us. So when he's saying harmonious sound, he's talking also about our way of speaking. What we're speaking. That affects our physical health. The music we listen. When your children say, oh, but I like crazy music, please don't. Because your molecules in the physical body are going to go crazy like that music. Put music that is joyful. Harmonious, huh? Harmonious. And it's easy to distinguish because it makes you feel good. Easily. So heavy metal, this doesn't fit in. And I don't think funk or what is that, hard rock or whatever other names of music. So when you hear the Christmas songs, next time think, give yourself a chance. Also because December, as we start December this coming Saturday, we all know the Spiritist traditions say that Jesus sends an extra handful of high spirits to the earth to help us out. That's no wonder we feel more joyful because there are more angels, more high spirits on the earth. So enjoy, rejoice, and sing the joy in this world. So we're seeing, you see, these books gives to us information we didn't know that really matter. Maybe common sense, but this was said way before science realized it. Because Leon Denis wrote it, the beginning of the 20th century. All these books are at the vanguard. We read and we start adjusting our lives to healthier lifestyles. And adjust ourselves. Little by little, our lives are going to be easier. And the top of the cherry tonight is when Jesus gives to us the ultimate lesson. It's in this book. Jesus in the Home. He says, and it's a 2-page chapter, chapter 16, named Mutual Help. He says that there were 2 old friends who were crossing the desert, and there were mountains, and suddenly they found a child who was almost dead in their pathway. One of them felt like picking up the child and taking the child with them. The other one said, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm old and I'm sick. I don't have the strength to take this child with me, and by the way, the child's almost dead. Let the child die. The other one said, you know what? Go ahead. If you're in a rush, you can go ahead. I will take this child because this child may survive. So he held the old and sick. He held the child against his chest, protected, because during the night it's colder, right? And he walked the distance until he found an inn. The next morning he was able to get to the place. The child was still living. By the reception, he said, "Do you have a doctor so he can see the child?" He said, "Yes, okay." So they took care of the child. He was still doing well. And he asked, "Do you know if my friend is already here?" He said, "No." "Is that the man, blah, blah, blah?" So he described the man. He said, "Yeah, he didn't make it. The night was too cold for him." Jesus said that the man who decided to compromise his pace, but to embrace the child, exchanged temperature, and kept himself warm enough to survive the cold. Jesus then finalizes the story, and these are his own words, so I cannot replace. Jesus said, "People's most eloquent and exact testimonies before the Almighty Father are their own deeds. The very ones whom we help are our support. The very ones whom we help are our support." Like Chico Xavier used to visit a girl who couldn't speak. He would go give passes. And one day when he had a heart problem, this girl, discarnated now, used to come and visit him to give him support. He didn't know it would happen this way. But that's the order of events. So Jesus says, the very ones whom we help are our support. The heart we save will become a resource for us one day or another. Let no one doubt this. Those who live for themselves are merely a living ornament of loneliness. But those who work on behalf of others are creditors of everyone's help. By helping, we will in turn be helped. By giving, we will in turn receive. This is the divine law. Don't be afraid of giving, thinking, oh, I'm selfish because I'm thinking one day I'm going to receive. No, that's the law of life. It's not in your hands. You don't know how it's going to turn out. But we have to do what we have to do. And that's law. We need to obey the law. And the law is to give. Give of ourselves, and especially of love. Those that are closest to us are those we need to help. Giving love. And you see the medications in the counter disappearing. Problems at work, in school, dissolving. Because we're giving more love and our loved ones are healthier, happier. Consequently, we too. See how these books change our lives. It's worthwhile reading or listening, but reading is also one way. Okay, friends? Shall we now move to the next part of the passes? Yes? Okay, we're gonna turn off the main lights. Think about our master and visualize ourselves like this child.